Okay, so now we're going to hear from Adrianna Logalbo, who works for GAIN, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. She's leading their first global campaign to galvanize a community of support aimed at improving education and nutrition among mothers and young children. Previously, Adrianna worked at the UN Foundation. She led the Nothing But Nets anti-malaria campaign. And she's going to talk to us about GAIN's FutureFortified campaign. Here you go. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So it's a pleasure to be here. We are a brand new campaign, which is, I think, perhaps why we've been asked to provide a case study of what we're doing. And so bear with me as I give you a second on what FutureFortified is all about, and then we'll dive into what we've been doing. So very simply, we are trying to address what is one of the world's largest global health issues. While malnutrition is relatively hidden for most people, it's still affecting 2 billion people around the world every single day. And what we're looking at is the fact that up until this point, nutrition has remained, quite frankly, flatlined with respect to global funding for nutrition. While funding for health overall has gone up in an unprecedented fashion, over the last 10 to 15 years, we haven't seen the same for nutrition. And it's our premise that a huge piece of this is because nutrition has not, up to this point, had a dedicated advocacy community. It hasn't had a base of supporters that have really driven this issue to the forefront, whether it's from a political or public perspective. There's a lot of examples of organizations and communities that have been able to do this. Global HIV/AIDS, malaria, and the work that's happening. Obviously, polio is a great one. We won't dive into those, obviously, now in the sake of time. But we believe that we are in this unique moment for nutrition because we do have new research that has come out in recent years. We have new global champions like Secretary Clinton, and there are new innovations in the space which are making it possible to increase or improve nutrition globally in these very cost-effective ways. So our question is, how do we take those moments and start to build momentum and ultimately a long-term movement for nutrition, very much in the way that Malaria No More and the UN Foundation and Nothing But Nets, along with many others, have been able to do for malaria. So, enter FutureFortified. We are a brand new campaign. We have just launched this year, and our effort is to really raise awareness and ultimately improve access to good nutrition for women and children around the world, particularly focused on that very critical 1,000-day period that many of you have perhaps heard of at this point, the time between pregnancy and 2 years of age, where we know good nutrition is critical to get children off to the right start in life. And we also know, conversely, poor nutrition actually leads to physical and mental development challenges, which unfortunately cannot be reversed after 2 years. But at the end of the day, we need a community around this issue. If nobody is talking about nutrition, or global nutrition in our case, then it doesn't matter how important this period of time is or how much investment we feel should go towards it. If there's no support, there will be no political support to increase investments in this area. And so we've created FutureFortified, and very early on, our goal was to, quite frankly, and it may not seem so strategic, just turn on as many levers as we possibly could in the very early days, because we were building a community from scratch. The strategic part of it is perhaps in how we did that. We realized in 2012, where we are today, as opposed to in 2005 and 2006 when we were launching malaria campaigns, that it's a very different world in which we live. And social media, for us, was actually the driving tactic as opposed to an add-on. Looking at social media as the way to actually reach our community and start to engage our community, as opposed to the way to just broadcast what we're doing. And so, to that end, our strategy has focused on things like authenticity and transparency and interaction. I'll break it down into 3 major categories. There's our work in reaching moms, so with respect to the audience conversation, our work in reaching influencers and starting to engage influencers to, quite frankly, help us reach our audience, and our work in engaging partners and how we're trying to bring them into the folds and oftentimes push them to do some new things that they've never done before as well. So with respect to moms, perhaps I know other people on the panel may be talking about this audience as well. may be fair to say they're a relatively inundated audience, but it's for good reason. I mean, brands are reaching out to this audience because they do control 80% of the consumer household spending. And they also are very active online, and they're very much engaged. So for us, it was about how do we bring our issue to them where they are. And a couple of things we did was reaching out to bloggers, both small and large, trying to really get them to help us build this community in a way that was meaningful for them. And so we reached out to them, not just asking them to communicate and promote the issue and Future Fortified, but rather to give us a bit of content that we could then add value back to them. I think that's one thing that most people have recognized in this space is you have to be willing to add value and able to add value back to the communities that you're engaging. And so with the bloggers, we were able to, for instance, in this example, ask moms for their healthy, nutritious recipes and then package those into sort of a feature and then push it back to them and tag them. So they were willing to share their featured recipe with their network and bring people into the nutrition conversation and into the Future Fortified campaign. Another key strategy for us has been this engaging influencers. And the next slide will show sort of the more traditional celebrity influencers, but in this case, it's also those specific niche markets who are going to help you reach your audience. So this is an example. We worked with Dallas Clayton, who I don't know if anyone in this room knows, but if you're a new mom, particularly in the West Coast, you may know him because he's a dad in LA who wrote this awesome book that's conveniently called An Awesome Book. And he came to us, and he's very, with the young new moms in LA, he is everything, right? I mean, they love his book. So for us to be able to work with him, he came and asked us if he could bring Future Fortified on tour with him when he was going across the country with HarperCollins. We said, of course, we'd love it. So that was sort of the offline engagement, so to speak. And then he communicated out through his network. So we had this online engagement, and I'll spare you the 2-minute video, but what was really interesting was the intersection of the two. So being able to take content from his tour, package that into a really, quite frankly, authentic video coming from Dallas's voice that we could push back out to his community. It's something we just recently launched and have been gaining some good traction with. And we're looking forward to doing more activities like that. And then, of course, actually reaching out to the creative community, this form of influencer community. And the way we've tried to do this is when we have unique content for them to push out. So when we created a video for Future Fortified, we went to that community, asked the CAAs of the world, asked our friends and family to help us push it out, and this is where we saw incredible growth within our Twitter community in particular, was when sort of these creative influencers were able to recommend us to their networks, so to speak. The final piece and strategy that we've been employing so far has been working with our partners. So one example is with a company called Herbalife. They're based in LA, and they were interested in bringing Future Fortified to their soccer tournament this summer that they hosted, which, coming from Nothing But Nets, felt like old hat. We're going to go to stadiums. We're going to do in-stadium activations. We're going to have a video on a Jumbotron. This is going to be great. But again, 2012, a bit different than when we were doing this several years ago. There's an opportunity to make that offline activation cross over with the online engagement. And so what we did was created a Twitter campaign. So we asked Herbalife to commit to donate $1 to every tweet with this specific hashtag that we were able to promote through their 9 various markets that they had games in that reached 300,000 people, and that was great. But we were also able to promote it online. And so that's where we saw, again, significant traction, particularly in this case on Facebook, where it was actually Herbalife doing the talking, but it was their community that was very interested in what they were doing and their partnership with Future Fortified. And going back to the partner and being able to say, look, your community is particularly proud of the work that you're doing with our organization, only helps to instill greater confidence in working with us moving forward and doing some of these creative tactics. So we are in this growth period for our campaign and for the community, and we've been thrilled that in 6 months' time we've been able to grow to nearly 35,000 people online. And that's been done very much organically through moms, through influencers, and through partnerships. So where are we going next? A couple things that I want to mention, because we are as much here to learn from everyone in this room as to provide a case study. We are really interested in finding very meaningful but innovative ways to advocate. So one of the things we tested this summer was working with a startup company called Tout. They have enabled people to record 15-second videos. It's kind of the video version of Twitter. And so we teamed up with Good to see if we could get our community and Good's community to send video messages to their members of Congress around the Farm Bill. This is something we want to expand on over the winter and as we get into our new Congress and our new administration, whichever way that goes. And we're excited to try this out and really looking forward to getting feedback from folks as we go. The next piece, and this goes to sort of the introductory comments, we are constantly trying to iterate in the work that we're doing. So we're now in sort of a new phase within our website of trying to build out this platform in a way that we actually can track what people are doing, not just so we know what people are doing, though that will be very helpful for us as we communicate, but also in a way that adds value to them. Again, so they earn points as they take actions on our site. And other people are doing this, sort of this gamification of the work, in a way that they can start to earn rewards as they move forward and earn points, going to the leaderboard conversation of people being able to showcase what they're doing, whether it's on social or on a digital platform. And then finally, and also, following on Michelle's comments, we are now in a stage where we've built a community, but we really need to deepen that conversation, both offline and online. And so that is our big focus at this stage, is to have conversations around this very real, very personal issue of nutrition to keep people engaged over the long term. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate learning, or look forward to learning from all of you.